All right, thank you.
Sorry.
I'm going to go ahead, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And if you'd all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. All members are present tonight. Could I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
That's first by Katie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Larry. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, agenda approved, 7-0. Brings us to item 3A, the superintendent report.
Thank you, Mr. President. And a couple of things tonight. First of all, I want to bring to the board's attention and to the to those attending tonight. This is quite fitting. Mark Stoner and I had a conversation today because we weren't sure what kind of a crowd to expect. And I was kind of contemplating, sometimes when I'm the heavy and I throw it on my staff to last minute move locations of a meeting, I'm not a real popular guy. So I dropped it on Mark's shoulders and I said, I'm going to let you decide. And I think he very appropriately said, you know, why not? Let's err on the side of having space. But the other neat thing, especially with additional board members present from the past and board presidents from the past, and we have 3 departing members tonight that played a big part in putting this place on the ground. So to be here for their final meeting, at least for now, in this building is a very neat thing, and to have former board members as well. And so the South County Chamber of Commerce, in their award ceremony a few weeks back, they gave an award to the Melville School District. It's their new construction award. Obviously, you know, that is something relevant to the chamber and progress, and they wanted to acknowledge this beautiful facility and put their stamp of approval on it by giving us a plaque for this year and for the new construction. So that is, it reads new construction, actually for the 2013 year, William B. Nodelman Auditorium. So thank you to the chamber, and probably worth a round of applause. And the only other thing I have is this is not going to become a spiel about me, because there's been enough spiels about me lately, but it is the first time that I've been in public with the board since the announcement of my decision. And really what I want to do tonight is just say a thank you. When this opportunity came to a real opportunity, which was right around the spring break time, my wife and my daughters and I spent a lot of time over spring break. We spent our vacations thinking about work a lot. And I feel really bad that I expected something very different from you all, and I expected something very different from you all, and I expected something very different from you all. I don't know why. I thought that I thought people would be mad at me, and I wasn't sure you would honor my wishes. And beginning that night, there's a lot of consternation out there about what people see when we interact in public. And I wish everybody could see the board meeting that we had that Monday after spring break, because it was extremely special to me, the way you all accepted what I had to say and rallied behind me and supported me. My staff, who have been an absolute rock for me in the community, and a lot of people that helped to advise me once the announcement was public. So I wrote a little blog piece where I talked about feeling like George Bailey, like the richest man alive, not because of what Rock was going to pay me, but because of
Wow.
because just all of the unbelievable support of friends and family, and you all are my friends, and I just cannot thank you enough, and I will never ever forget how you handled me delivering that news to you that night. You saw how nervous I was, and it just unbelievable, the weight that lifted, and then it just followed through into the community and everywhere else, and it's just been this unbelievable ride for me. So I just thank you for that, and I thank you for the opportunity that you've given me. I'm still here. I'm not leaving. This is not my farewell speech. That'll come. You all can come back. You really want to hear me talk. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you for that publicly, and thank you guys for your support publicly and anybody else that I've talked to. So that is my superintendent's report for tonight.
Thank you very much, Eric. Open period for patron comments, item 3B. I don't know if anybody signed up. In fact, I don't even know where the sign-up sheet is right now. Nobody? Okay.
Time everybody in the audience can talk.
Speechless tonight we are. Item 3C, reading and consideration of communications and petitions and report of the secretary. Rich? any
No,
report?
I have nothing.
Okay. 3D, board member committee reports. This is going to go very quick tonight. Okay. Item 4, presentations.
That comes right back to me. It is customary on the reorganization meeting for the superintendent to share a few words about our departing board members and the service that they've provided. So, and we have a little gift that is also customary. So I will do exactly that. And just, I think most folks know this, but just so you understand, this is kind of a dual meeting tonight. We say farewell to those board members that are departing, and we take a small recess. We'll eat cake in the lobby only. Cake will stay in the lobby. And then we'll come back together and seat the new board. I'll take the gavel at the beginning until we swear our new board members in, and we elect a president, and then I'll turn it over to the president, who will elect the other officers, and that's how we'll do business tonight. So just so you know that. So just have a few comments that I prepared for our departing board members, and if you don't mind allowing me to entertain you with these. I'm going to start with Rich. I'm sure, Rich, that there may be those who are curious to see what exactly I have to say as my parting comments for you tonight. I want to assure you that my goal here is to thank you and to celebrate your commitment as a volunteer board member for the Melville School District over the past 3 years. While the community may have witnessed some challenging exchanges between you and I on occasion, we both know there were equally as many and maybe more conversations, be it over lunch, on the phone, in the hallway, or in a closed meeting, where we found plenty to agree upon. We've conversed, we've laughed, we've discussed, we've agreed. It's important. We've disagreed, and we've had some, let's call them, very courageous conversations. And regardless, again, what a lot of folks don't know is they usually all ended in a handshake. And you have supported many of the capstone proposals brought forth by me during your term. And for that, on behalf of the school district, I thank you, and thank you for your service to the Melville School District. A few words about Mark. Mark has also served as a board member for the past 3 years, the last of which he filled the role of president of the Board of Education. And I'm here to tell you that the superintendent and the board president have a very unique relationship, it's something, again, that's not real public to a lot of folks. And it develops mostly behind the scenes. I appreciate, Mark, how you consistently approached every topic with a calm and very rational voice. I appreciate the way you worked with me creating agendas during your term as president. I also appreciate the flexibility you provided me when I needed various agendas to shift from what may have been expected. Mark was always respectful of my needs as a superintendent and my leadership role, and I appreciated that very much. You've been dedicated to your role, both as president and director, and you too have shown support for my vision and my aggressive approach to forward motion in this school district. You've worked hard in these volunteer roles, and you should be commended for your contributions. On behalf of the school district, I thank you for your service to the Melville School District. And Mark gets 2 plaques, one as for the service of board member, and the one, the gavel plaque, for his service as the board president. And last but not least, Elaine Powers. Elaine has also served as a board member for the past 3 years. Elaine, you brought a lot of depth with you to this role, as your vocation closely relates to the business of a public school district. You also came with a unique perspective as someone who is also hired and governed by a board of directors. Your support, input, and knowledge relating to many of our advances in the past 3 years have been a true blessing. It's always obvious that you studied your board books in great depth and often pursued additional information prior to board meetings. You came prepared and willing to ask tough questions, and you independently determined your stance on issues. I do want to share a story, and I did not ask your permission for this, but so you don't get nervous, I'm going to be vague when you understand what I'm talking about, but this is something that has not been public that I think you deserve some credit for. There was an issue the Melville School District and I that I will always have Elaine to thank for, and the help that she provided in resolving an issue behind the scenes in her very early months on the board. When I assumed the superintendency and these 3 departing board members were sworn in, we inherited a situation that gave us a tax rate calculation that was not approved by the state auditor's office. This did not relate to any wrongdoing on the district's part or former board or former administration. It was actually more of a technicality, a little bit of a quirk in the system. Nonetheless, it was a huge issue, and the problem had remained for quite some time, never able to be resolved by admin, the board, or legal counsel. I won't go as far as to explain any details, and at the time Elaine refused to be out front as a worker and insisted on staying behind the scenes and did not want her name mentioned. But the bottom line, unbeknownst to probably everybody in this room except me, Elaine, and probably her husband, in a very short amount of time, she aided me when I came in as superintendent in getting this issue resolved. She wouldn't let me give her credit at the time, and again, I'm not going to go into details, but by default, I got the credit. And all I did was carry on some follow-up conversations. But I didn't ask her permission tonight, but on behalf of the Melville School District, I'm saying thanks, because that was huge, and it went unnoticed. I think the credit went to me. I don't think I deserve any of the credit. You really helped with that. Your board members don't know that, but we put that tax rate calculation behind us, and you really orchestrated that behind the scenes. So we need to thank Elaine for that. And we have plaques. Thank you very much. A couple of final thoughts, collective thoughts about all 3 members. As I have stated, I know I've served as somewhat of an aggressive superintendent for the school district, but everyone knows a superintendent's plans mean absolutely nothing without board support. Our former board members know that. These board members know that. Plans have to make sense to board members. I was told for years by the community that we needed to address various issues throughout the district. Example, our tennis court situation, one of these examples. And I came in intending on addressing it. I did, but again, that means nothing without support, and I received all of your support to complete that new project, and our community is enjoying those courts unbelievably so. I guarantee you, if there's any light of day left, there's people on those courts right now. I propose an aggressive facilities plan, a technology plan, and tuition-free full-day kindergarten for everyone, and I received complete support from this board and from these members that are departing. Again, superintendent's plan is nothing without the support of a board. And as you all know, something very near and dear to me was the planning and the construction of the district's first auditorium. It's an idea that I had been told over many years and from many familiar faces in the district to simply forget it. There was no way it would ever be done. I floated the idea, and this board supported it, all of them. And here we are. We're sitting in this wonderful auditorium, and I thank you for your service, all three of you. I thank you for your support of these very meaningful accomplishments that result in great things and for our students in this wonderful school district. So thank you all for your service, and I think we all need to applaud them one more time. They don't want to stand up. So at this time, we turn to board member comments.
Well, actually, we have action items by consent.
Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
need to go through. Yeah. So we have reading of minutes. We're on item 5A, reading of minutes, previous minutes, and corrections and approval of same. Do I hear a motion to approve our minutes?
So moved.
Second.
First by Elaine, second.
Elaine.
Elaine. Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved, 7-0. Strategic planning, item 6A, accepting unofficial results of the April 8th annual school board election.
I'll move to accept the unofficial results until certified by the St. Louis County Board of Election Commissioners, and to declare the election of Venky Palamé, Samantha Stormer, and Jean Preto for a 3-year term to the Melville R9 Board of Education.
I'll second.
First by Elaine, second by Ron. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The election results are approved. Report on closed minute meeting items. Item 7. Just a minute. The following items were discussed in the first closed meeting by the Melville Board of Education on Thursday, April 10th, 2014. Reading of minutes of previous meetings and corrections and approval of same, and items under Missouri Revised Statute 610.021, Section 1 through 21, and 610.022, Section 1 through 6. Item C, hiring, firing, disciplining, and promoting particular employees. Item F, preparation for negotiations with employee groups. And item I, individually identifiable personnel records, performance ratings, or records pertaining to employees or applicants for employment. Okay, it brings us to item 8, board member comments, responses to questions, and agenda requests.
And Mark, before anybody volunteers, there's one order of business that we both just forgot really quick. Tonight in closed session, we did name a new principal in our school district. And so she's here with us, and we would just like to introduce Mrs. Shannon Henderson as the new principal for Trotwine Elementary School. We are thrilled to bring Shannon back to us. She is not only a resident in this district, she was a longtime teacher in our district before she pursued an opportunity in administration in the Parkway School District. So for a change, we get to steal somebody from another district, and we're thrilled to have her back. So welcome back, Shannon.
Larry, Elaine, Rich.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'll start out then. So, the board's done a great deal the last 3 years. We've celebrated success, such as full-day kindergarten, sound student performance, We've celebrated reduced class size policies, the auditorium construction, tennis court construction, restoring the tier system. We almost forgot about that one. Integrating students from a struggling school district was a challenge this last summer, all while holding the line on property taxes. And all have been really good things, but I don't want to dwell on the past because they are things in the past. So the future board will have some challenges. They're going to have a couple of major things going on with the budget that must be addressed. First, insurance. We have to realize that insurance costs are significant, and they're the most rapidly rising area of our budget. Compensation practices haven't been reviewed in years within the district, and I know that there's probably mixed feelings on this, but I do encourage the board to continue to be open to performance pay. If you don't deal with these next issues, with these two issues in our district, there will be some budget problems in the next few years, and we'll lose some good teachers. So my advice would be to plan wisely. Common Core standards have been controversial over the last few years, and they impact everybody in the community. Not just enrolled students, but they impact private school students, parochial students, homeschool students. There hasn't been a long-term track record on the success of Common Core, and the short-term results have been, in some cases, not so positively. And additionally, it's been my opinion that they take away local control from the school board. So my advice to the school board would be to act wisely going in the future. Certainly, Dr. Cano's successor is going to be a challenge for the board. I appreciate working with you, Eric, over the last few years. You have been a wonderful mentor to the district and a wonderful superintendent to work with. And I'm going to say that publicly. I congratulate you and thank you for working with you over these last few years. I want to thank his shoes are going to be big to fill, but the good news is we have some very capable people in this district. I've seen him mentor people, as I've mentioned, and we have just a great leadership team throughout this district. His successor will impact the district for years to come. So my piece of advice for that would be to choose wisely. So why do I mention these challenges first? Because they lie before you, but more importantly, to remember who you represent. You represent the taxpayers of the district. You're their only voice. Students, teachers, employees all have a voice in the district, but the only way the taxpayers are represented are by your election and your voice. So throw away personal feelings, study the facts, throw away personal biases, and listen to the voice of your constituents. I want to wish you all continued success in this district, and with one departing thought, which I've carried throughout my tenure on the board. And it's always been pertaining to the school. I've kept this in the back of my mind. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. Carry forward.
I'm still deciding what I'm going to say. Go ahead, Rich.
I didn't write anything down. Real quickly, just share a few thoughts with you. Thank you to the board for allowing me to serve with you, for putting up with me. And I had a wonderful time. And I consider it a privilege to having had the opportunity to serve on the board. Anyone who says that serving on the school board is not politics or not political, they're lying. It is very political, and all of us have an opportunity to bring our agendas and our political beliefs to our board service. I'm proud of the fact that in the midst of all of the agreement and disagreement, and I appreciate Eric sharing some of those things, that we managed to accomplish some really significant things. And I'm excited about that, and I'm excited that those things that we did accomplish will last long after all of us are gone. A huge congratulations to Vinky and Samantha and Jean for your accomplishment. I'm excited and proud of you, and really can't wait to see what agenda items you're going to bring forth. I'm sure I'll disagree with some of them, and I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to discuss that. But that's really what this is all about, is political discourse and hearing the voice of the community, and all of us represent different parts of that community. And alluding to what Mark said, the thing I'm most proud of, and I appreciate the honor of having had the opportunity to represent the owner taxpayers of this school district and the students, their children. And I would also encourage you, not just new board members, but current board members, to remember that this school district is here to serve the students, number one, and to represent the voices of the community, the owners and the taxpayers of this district. And I intend to continue to share that message, given the opportunity to do that, and I hope you'll take it to heart. So thank you all very much.
So I guess I have to. So I, on the other hand, wrote a whole bunch of stuff, but don't like any of it. So I'm going to kind of pick and choose here. So over the last several weeks, I've had lots of people ask me, if I'm going to miss being on the board, and the answer is absolutely yes. Fact is that I very much wanted to run for re-election. I wanted to win, and I wanted to be back around this table. But like everybody in this room, I wear more than one hat. And in your life, you sometimes, and this is hard for me, in your life you have to make choices. And at this point in my life, I made a choice that is right for me and for my family at this point in time. And I chose to step aside. And I'm thrilled. I think I'm leaving the board in good hands, a terrific blend of experienced board members as well as some new ideas. And so welcome to Samantha and Jean, and welcome back to Venky. Reflecting back over the last few years, and I've already strayed from my notes, over the last few years, when I look at when I decided to run to do this, I was just a parent who wanted to get involved, who wanted to make a difference. I had concerns about where the district was headed, and but I didn't have an axe to grind. I wasn't part of any organized group. I was not particularly politically active nor inclined. I'd never set foot inside of central office, but I thought maybe I had something to offer. And I wanted my children, I wanted 10,000 other kids in this district to have the best education that they could, and hoped that I could make a difference. I am very grateful that the people of Melville elected me, and that I had this wonderful opportunity to serve and make a difference. So one of my concerns before being on the board was the fact that there was not appropriate curricular nor performance space for students involved in our performing arts programs, and we see here tonight evidence that we were able to address that as a group in a very meaningful and profound way that is making a difference. But I do need to point out this is just step one. I would really strongly encourage the incoming board to remember that our kids at Oakville High School still don't have the curricular space to the extent that the Melville kids do. They've got the performance space, but the recent play, the Oakville High School spring play, they didn't even get on stage until I think 2 days before their performance, whereas the Melville kids have that opportunity to come back and forth and learn to work the lights and the soundboard and learn their way around. So this is step one, and I encourage you to remember that there are additional steps that need to happen. Another thing that I really felt was missing was opportunity for our kids in full-day kindergarten. I felt that was a big gap in our district compared to opportunities for kids in other districts. Those children who could most benefit from a full-day program were the least able to afford the tuition that we previously charged. So couldn't be more thrilled that I was part of the team that was able to put tuition-free full-day kindergarten in place here in Melville. But as important as these visible things are, the things that get the press coverage, what goes on every day, behind the scenes, what we put in place that really makes a difference to kids, I think that's the real success story. I heard somebody say, in the campaign that, for the last year, the district has kind of sat still. And I can't disagree more with that. Maybe we didn't break ground on anything new, but every day we're investing in children, and when we make differences that touch the lives of kids, we're not standing still, we're moving forward. And the focus in this district on individualized education, we talk about it, AP classes and Project Lead the Way and opportunities, that's all fantastic. But we really do live it for the kids at all ends of the spectrum. And what we've done with Virtual Academy, the 9th grade academy, RTI in all the schools, those are the things that are positioning our kids for success. Character education, huge. Absolutely believe that is that's a strong foundation for where this district is headed. We're equipping our kids with a foundational skill that will make them succeed. And I'm going to have to go back to my notes because I'm going to be all over the place here. I had a story I wanted to tell as well. That just, I think, speaks to the community, and I think the outstanding manner in which we embraced the families from Riverview Gardens. I think that speaks a lot to Melville. I think our administration led the way on that, and as a board, we came together and we did what it took to make it work. But when I think about, this is really about individual children and individual families. We had a super fun night, the night that we did the big open house for new families coming in, and there was the big assembly at Oakville Middle School, and we, following that assembly, the families went and visited their home schools. And I had stood around chatting with some folks afterward, and everyone was pretty much long gone, and this car pulls into the parking lot. And I see Jeff nodding. Jeff was there. Car pulls in, and it was a mom from Riverview. She had a couple of kids in the car. She was clearly frustrated. She'd been lost in South County for an hour, had missed the assembly, and just wasn't even sure of the name of the school where she needed to get to. She didn't have her packet because we handed them out that night. And so Jeff helped her with that end and figured out which end of the school. I think Adam Smith was there as well. And it turned out she needed to go to Troutwine. Well, if you're not familiar with South County and you're trying to get from Oakville Middle School to Troutwine, and you're already frustrated, you're overwhelmed. And I said, you know what? I said, just follow me. And so I got in my van, and she got in her car, and Jeff called over to let them know at Troutwine that there was another family coming. They were late, but they were coming. And so she followed me to Troutwine, and we got out, and the kids, they'd been in the car a long time, and they kind of tumbled out of the car, and a little girl who was about, I'm going to say she was about 8, she took a look around, and she looked at her little brother, and she said, I told you they'd have a playground. And so I told her that, in my opinion, Troutwine actually probably has one of the better playgrounds. And then he looked up at his mom, the younger brother, and he said, I love my new school. And I cried. It doesn't take much to get me to cry, but I cried. And we can argue that these children would be better off in their home community, and absolutely, I agree. We all have a role to play in strengthening our schools. Not just here in Melville, but we can advocate on the larger scale for strong public education. But right now, we have an opportunity to be making a difference in lives like those kids who just wanted something different, and their mom who put everything she had into trying to get them there. And to me, that's what this is about. For the kids from Riverview, for the kids right here in Melville. That's why I've done what I've done. It's been a blast. We have not always agreed,
and I look this way when I say that, but we also have agreed on many things, and I think that's important to note. I will wrap up. Katie, I was wrong about you, and I wanted to say that publicly. Made assumptions about you before you joined this board, and I want you to know that you're a strong, capable board member. You know, you stick to your guns, and I just needed to say that out loud. There are things I will miss about each of you individually, but I'm not really going anywhere. You're going to see me at meetings. I am intending to continue to be involved. Larry, I don't know what you're talking about half the time, but no, you have been a terrific sounding board for me. Your experience, your knowledge, I've found that invaluable and a tremendous help over the years. So I wanted to publicly thank you as well. And Dr. Knost, I am wishing you all the best. A terrific job over the last 3 years. It's been an honor to serve in this capacity with you in the superintendent role. Wishing you all the best. You've surrounded yourself with a team that I'm confident is going to be able to continue moving this district forward. So I thank you for putting that team together. And last, but by no means not least, my husband Ed, who is here tonight. You've not seen him at many meetings because while I'm at these meetings, he's getting dinner on the table and driving kids to practices and making sure homework is done. I could not have done this without him. I am thankful, appreciative to have a spouse as supportive as Ed. And I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of you. So I apologize for monopolizing so much of the time, but had a bunch I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Okay, and now it comes to,
The other board members?
I took all your time.
No, that's good.
Well, I wanted to thank everyone for your service, and Elaine, thank you. And Mark and Rich, you will be missed.
I'm sure everybody's going to echo the same things. Thank you for the service. The 7 of us and the former board members know what the commitment is. It's not just, a Thursday evening once a month. There's, constant back and forth. There's, issues and things that we have to commit to stay on top of issues. And Eric every once in a while will be like, I need advice or I need an action on this right away. So thank you all. Rich, you taught me, and first of all, I should bring this up. The 3 of you brought me on board, and I thank you all for that opportunity. I was 10th out of 10, and I was stunned that I was selected. But again, thank you all for that. But Rich, you've taught me in the 3 years the importance of representing your constituency, testing that idea, being tested by fire, making sure you can stand with your convictions, and then move on as a board. So thank you very much for that. Mark, I think I've told you in the past, the thing I took from you is when you said in one of my first meetings, just because we've always done it that way, doesn't mean it's the right way. We should always be looking to improve. So thank you for your service and the leadership of the board. And then Elaine, we're going to miss your organization, because if there's ever a question of what we decided, 6 weeks ago or, 2 years ago, Elaine will pull the notes out and say, this is what we voted on. So I don't know who's going to take that role, but Jean or Samantha or Venky, you guys may have to do that. So thank you. I enjoyed the time we spent at MSBA. Always enjoyed conversations with you. You do love participating in your trivia night, so please make sure we come back. And I know we'll see all 3 of you from time to time. So again, thank you guys for the great 3 years.
thank you.
Mine will be quick. I just want to thank Rich, Mark, and Elaine for serving their district, and because of your service in our little piece of the world here. It inspired me to serve a district that's near and dear to my heart. So I thank you for that. I thank you for that, Elaine, when you told me you were first serving. I was so impressed that I knew somebody that was actually going to do that. So I thank you, Elaine. For Rich, thank you for being a voice. It's okay to have a voice. Thank you for being passionate for all the people in this community. Even a gentleman that I met at the polling place who shared his troubles with his fixed income, yet he was a resident of this district for 30 years. And Mark, thank you for your character. Thank you for always bringing it back to what matters most. My apologies. So thank you all.
Being passionate with this. I'd like to thank the three of you for bringing a much different voice to this board and making us look at dimensions we hadn't thought about for quite a while. I think you've made us all better in terms of what we choose to advocate for and how we express it and how we explain our positions. So for that, I thank you and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Now we come to the point where we're almost adjourned. Just a quick house rule. We just bought this auditorium for $6 million. So keep the cake outside, please. That would be my last request. And when we come back, we'll adjourn here shortly. When we come back, we'll do some strategic planning with the new elected board and Eric presiding. So meeting is adjourned.
Okay, we will call the meeting back to order and start with agenda item 10. And 10A is the administering of the oath of directors to the successfully elected candidates to the Board of Education. And our remaining officer coming forward is Lori Tracus. So she will step out front and actually administer the oath to our newly elected board members, and we will take them in order of the votes received. So we will first ask Venki Palaman to step out front.
Please raise your right hand, Vicki. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
demean myself in office, discharge the duties of school director
discharge the duties of school director
in and for the Melville School District,
in and for the Melville School District,
R9, County of St. Louis,
County of St. Louis,
State of Missouri,
to
the best of my ability, according to law,
so help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And next, if Samantha Stormer would come up to the microphone.
Samantha, please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Missouri, and that I will faithfully and impartially demean myself in office, discharge the duties of school director,
the duties of school director
in and for the Melville School District,
in and for the Melville School District,
R9,
R9,
County of St. Louis,
County of St. Louis,
State of Missouri,
State of Missouri,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
according to law,
according to law,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
And now Jean Preto.
Please raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will support
I do solemnly swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
demean myself in office, discharge the duties of school director
discharge the duties of school director
in and for the Melville School District,
in
R9,
and for the Melville School District R9,
County of St. Louis,
County of St. Louis,
State of Missouri,
State of Missouri,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
according to law,
according to law,
so help me God.
so help me God.
All right, congratulations.
All right, next on the agenda will be our election of officers, and just so everyone understands, I don't get to stay in the president's seat long. I stay here long enough to preside over the election of the president, and at that time I'll turn it over to the president to elect the vice president and to consider the secretary and treasurer position. So we will start with I, which is the president, and the way we'll walk through this is we will begin by opening it up for nominations. Do I have any nominations for president of the board?
I nominate Larry Feldham.
Larry Felton, do I have a second?
You don't need a second.
You don't need
Okay.
a second for nomination.
Thank you.
I nominate Ron Federchek for president.
Any additional nominations for the board president? Do I have a motion to,
Do we get to hear them speak before you?
I think we close the nominations
close the
first.
nominations.
Motion to close the nominations first, so entertain a motion to close.
I will move to close nominations.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and Larry and Ron? I'm going to start with Larry.
Experience.
As part of my professional development, which I think is the key part of every board member, I get a chance to see a lot of school districts, a lot of boards, and I know most of the boards that win the Outstanding Board Awards. And they really have three main characteristics. They plan aggressively. They plan and they plan and they plan some more. They're accessible. They're available not only to their constituents in meetings, they run a lot of town halls. They make sure that they cover all the events in their district. But I think the thing that comes the most is their servants. They're very humble and they're very unassuming in the jobs that they do. Now, I think how that translates to us, we have a unique situation in the next year. We get to do the most important thing a school board does, and that's hire a superintendent. And I think to do that, we have to focus everything we do this year to become a more informed, a more articulate board, because at some point in time, the seven of us are going to sit down with probably some rock star candidates, and the better that we can present ourselves, the better opportunity we're going to have. And I think that means a lot of other things too. We have a great staff, so it means that we don't have to get outside the governance window. It means we can stay and focus on agendas, budgets, policies, the things that make the district work. But I think we have to think a lot more about work sessions. I think there are times that we have work sessions for the sake of them. I think that's one thing this board could do. The other thing I think that has to happen is we've gone through a period where board presidents have been somewhat dominant in presenting information. I think the idea of a board president is to find out what the seven people on the board want and to make sure those subjects are being discussed, the right information is there, and they've got data, because nothing paralyzes a decision or a discussion more than opinion and innuendo when you don't have data and facts in front of you. And we know that between transfer programs and funding at the state level and funding at the local level, you have to have facts if you're going to have an intelligent conversation with your constituencies. I think the other thing we have to think about is in the past, the board's been very top-down. Board president does everything. In my mind, all 7 people should be presenting the awards at our meetings, at our recognition ceremonies. I think all 7 people should be writing in the messenger. This is a shared opportunity. If anything, the board president probably needs to be the quietest person to make sure the other 6 have a conversation. So that's what I bring to the table.
Ron? Well, and I'm going to echo a lot of what Larry said, because I do recognize Larry's experience. He's a great mentor, and I encourage the new members to bounce things off of him as much as they can. He will guide you. He's not motivated by the politics at hand. So we have discussed a lot of common themes. One thing that we want to see is we want to pull together. We both attended an MSBA conference, and they called it the Baldrige process. And it's getting everybody on board and pulling in the same direction. We may not always agree, but we need to keep forward progress in mind and work together. It's been a rough year. It's looked a lot worse than it actually has been. But again, Larry brought up the point of top-down presidential leadership, and I do endorse a different model. It is to collaborate with the 7 members. So some of the things that I suggest is immediately to add additional meetings where we take a topic that we're going to discuss for the evening, and I'd like to do that, and we'll start at each of the elementary schools. One of the things that I would be very critical of past board members is they don't know the buildings, they don't know the administration. I want to have meetings at those buildings where we get input from the principals, the PTO leaders, some of the key teachers, and then we have a short meeting where we can hash out maybe an issue or two, and maybe have some comment from the people. So I look for everybody's input on that. I do agree with Larry. We did discuss this, that there are some shared responsibilities, whether we hand out awards, the Melville Messenger column, that should be shared. Everybody has great ideas. Everybody got elected on different ideas. I have had long conversations with Venky, Larry, Lori. I've started to. Katie, we've had a few, not very many, but I would love to hear more ideas on early childhood and your political things. Lori and I have talked a lot about class size. Larry, wants to talk about compensation policy and technology, and those discussions are things that we all need to have, especially with an interim superintendent and a new superintendent. So again, we don't want to overstep our bounds where we're managing the school district, but we do want to share our ideas and then pass those on to the new superintendent and see if we can get action and continue forward progress. A couple of other things that I want to do is I want to drive and make sure everybody is participating at MSBA conferences or more professional development. It can't just be Larry and I or occasionally one other member going. You have to stay on top of it. And I would encourage the new board members to get their certified board member training. I think it's in late June or early July. It's going to be extremely important that we move forward with the superintendent search, and you have to know your role and the basic idea of governance. The last thing that I do want to bring is more general participation, more discussion, and I would encourage you to vote for me. Again, Larry has accepted a position, or he's elected to a position as vice president.
Just announced today.
Announced. So congratulations.
I'm just nominated. I haven't won it yet.
Well, Larry's provided great service to MSBA. I want to do the same. I will lean on Larry if elected because of his experience, and obviously the 7 of you, and I want to bring that all together. So thank you.
Okay, so what we will do is we will vote, starting with the first candidate that was elected, and we need obviously 4 board members to actually make the president. So I believe Larry was nominated first. So we will start voting on Larry. So all in favor of Larry Felton as the president of the Board of Education, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 3 ayes and the nays. Should probably say nay, just to make sure that we have the
I
others.
think I
Nay.
sufficient.
I sufficient.
I sufficient.
All right.
Yeah.
Parliamentary stuff. Okay,
The 3 ayes, yeah, that'll be.
yes. All right. So moving on then to Ron Federchek. All in favor of Ron Federchek as the President of the Board of Education, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay.
I-
It is-
They can't vote twice.
Oh,
So,
Can't vote twice.
it's,
So-
yeah, don't worry. It's,
So we have, but we do have 4 ayes.
4 ayes, yeah.
So that would mean that Ron Federchek is now the President of the Board of Education.
Congratulations, Ron.
House cleaning. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, well, we'll now open up for nominations for Vice President. For the,
I nominate Larry Felton.
And I'll nominate Vinky Palaman.
I'll entertain a motion to close nominations.
Move to close nominations.
Second.
I second that.
First, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of closing nominations, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Based on nominations, Larry, you want to speak to the Vice Presidency?
For Vice President, I don't think you need to.
Yeah, don't, just call the vote.
All right. All those in, Larry was the first
First
nominee, so we will vote on Larry first. All those in favor of Larry Felton as Board Vice President for the upcoming year, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand.
Aye.
We have 3 votes. All those in favor of Vinky Palaman for Board Vice President, please say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. 4-3. Vinky Palaman is the Board Vice President. I'll now entertain a motion, or I'll now open nominations for the position of Board Secretary.
I'd like to nominate Lori Tracus for Board Secretary.
Any other nominations?
Nobody wants it.
It's the best job you learn more than you do any other job.
Entertain a motion to close nominations and name Lori Tracus Secretary by affirmation.
Move to close nominations.
So I moved that, should we take a vote or
Just take
just
a
by
vote.
affirmation?
You have to, acclamation is a separate motion.
Who seconded it?
I'll second that.
Okay.
You have to vote to
We're
close
closing.
and then you
All
do
right.
acclamation.
Right.
All those in favor of closing nominations for Secretary, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nominations are closed. And procedurally,
I
do we
move
need a
that
vote?
Lori be elected by acclamation.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify.
Aye.
7-0.
7-0, okay.
And Treasurer, we,
Well, first on the Secretary, this is, we deal with this every year, that technically those 2 spots usually are termed from July 15th. Now, the reason for that in a lot of school districts, those folks are actually sometimes employees. Sometimes the secretary of the board is actually the secretary. That's not here. You can go ahead and, which I would actually recommend that you deem Lori secretary, the term beginning now, would make sense to me. Obviously, that's the board's pleasure on that. And the treasurer's a little different because we'll get to that in a minute, but
We didn't specify a date, so if you want to have an additional motion to specify the board secretary's position lasts for 1 year starting today, that would probably be
are you
okay.
making the motion?
Yeah, let's do that. Move that the board secretary position be for 1 year starting today.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
The board sec, yeah, because it says July 15th, but that's not right. Presently for 1 year. Yeah.
just aligns with the rest of the board.
Correct.
Ron, the treasurer, as you know, typically this board has selected the CFO, and obviously you can entertain that in a minute, but
I don't think we voted on the
Oh, I'm
one-year
sorry.
term, sorry.
Apologize.
I just thought you were going to add something before we voted. All those in favor of beginning Lori Tracus's term as Secretary of the Board of Education signify by saying aye.
On what date?
For 1 year.
Today is
For
April
1 year.
10th
Yeah,
through
that's fine. Just 1 year.
2014-15 term.
Okay, so if the board does entertain, then our CFO, Marshall
Well, we need
Crutcher.
to vote, we actually vote, so.
No, no.
Just saying.
Oh, I'm
On
sorry.
Lori. All those in
That's why
favor
I'm
say
not
aye.
president.
Aye.
7-0. All
I
right,
like
now
your
we can go
pace,
to the
Dr. Knos, I love your pace, though.
treasurer.
That's right. So anyway, are you sure?
We're ready for treasurer.
We don't want to vote on anything else. Before we get to that, just on the dates, according to, they can stay that way if you are going to stay with Marshall as the treasurer and CFO, because he is already in that position, and it's associated again with his contract from year to year since he's a staff member. So I'll leave it at that, and you can entertain that motion.
Entertain a motion to name Marshall the board treasurer.
So moved.
Moved by Larry Felton.
Second.
Seconded by Katie Early. Any discussion on Marshall? All those in favor of naming Marshall Crutcher the Board of Education treasurer, beginning July 15, 2014 through July 14, 2015, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, that takes us to Board Item 10C. An action is needed on motion for the Board of Education to meet for non-emergency closed meeting. Is that me or-
That'd be Lori.
Is this sheet here? But, Mr. President, do we want to meet today, or do we want to meet, it says April 10th on here, or do we want to just do it for the next April 24th?
The first one is April 24th.
First one's for
First one is April
First one's April 24th. We'll get to tonight's, a couple of
Right.
Must be on the
items
wrong-
later.
Must be on the wrong page.
Sure, this is a 10, you're on 13.
Okay.
Okay, so
We're doing
My
10C.
fault.
I move that the Board of Education hold a closed meeting with a closed record and a closed vote and a general meeting on Thursday, April 24, 2014, at the Administration Building, 3120 Lime Ferry Road, St. Louis, Missouri, 63125, for the purpose of discussing and voting upon the following items of business: reading of minutes of previous meetings and corrections and approval of same, and any other items under the Missouri Revised Statute 610.021, subsections 1 through 21, and 610.022, subsections 1 through 6.
Takes us to, do we have to, second?
I'll second.
Larry Felton seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, please?
it's a
Roll
Oh,
roll
sorry,
call
roll
vote.
call.
Lori's got a call.
Katie,
Yes.
Samantha,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Vinky.
You missed one. You missed Jean.
I'm sorry, Miss Jean, I'm
It's
sorry.
my small size.
No, what's that orange, pretty orange dress that Katie has? I'm sorry, Jean.
Yes.
Okay. And Lori, yes.
Don't forget your, oh, good. Okay. Takes us to 11. Does anyone have any announcements? Again, I'd just like to thank MacArthur's for refreshments tonight, and thank you for everybody eating out in the hallway. So. I'm not sure if we want to have any comments. Does anyone want to open a discussion on the superintendent replacement process tonight, or do we want to?
Let me just mention that that's exactly correct, Ron. I put that on there. If there was any discussion, obviously, we are going back into closed session with the new board. And before we did that, if there was anything that anybody wanted to state or ask of me or just suggest in public, that's why it's on there. You don't have to, by all means, but I wanted at least to be on there in the event there wanted to be a public discussion at this time. There may not be enough to publicly discuss at this time, but that's the
I think the
board's-
only comment I'd make, I think we need to establish, and we may do that in closed session, the qualities we're looking for in terms of skill, experience, location. And I think we've got to figure out how this coincides with you leaving at the end of June to work out as much transition and literally almost what I would, it almost would be like a retreat situation to talk about a transition strategy.
Sure.
And just for the public record, there are several options that we have as a board. In terms of a search, we can do the search internally. There are firms that will actually do the search for the district and are paid based on contract, and that would definitely be discussed in public. And then there's organizations like MSBA and Education Plus that have contacts, and so just to be aware, those are things that we're going to be considering in the near future. So, anybody else have any thoughts? All right. And I guess we'll close the working session, and I'll
we go to
entertain a
13.
motion to meet in closed session.
I'll second it.
Well, we need a first. I mean, we need
First.
somebody to make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
So moved that we meet in closed
Are you talking about the
session.
April 24th meeting?
We're returning to closed session.
We just
We're
did
talking
that.
about
No,
April
we-
10.
Sorry,
now.
the 10th.
We have to
You're
open it, don't
talking,
we?
you're pointing to me.
It's tonight.
Okay,
Wait, we haven't done it yet.
all right.
Which means technically we have to come back here.
Same thing with the April 10th.
Who was the first and second for?
She has to read it first.
She has to read it.
She has to
Try
read
to
it
read it
first.
first. All right. Same.
These meetings are always a little strange while everybody gets settled in.
Yeah, I have it, so just change the date,
Read it.
April 10th.
I think so.
Change the date to tonight.
It's on the second.
Okay.
on the
Who's the
second.
second one?
It's the second. I made the same mistake.
I move that the Board of Education hold a closed meeting with a closed record and a closed vote immediately following this meeting on Thursday, April 10, 2014, at the Administration Building, 3120 Lemay Ferry Road, St. Louis, Missouri, 63125, for the purpose of discussing and voting upon the following items of business under the Missouri Revised Statute, 610.021 subsections 1 through 21, and 610.022 subsections 1 through 6. I further move that notice of this meeting and its tentative agenda be posted as required by Sunshine Law, Section 610.
And it already is.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Roll call.
Jean?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Samantha?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Pinky?
Yes,
You said Jean, right?
she did.
Larry? I did. And Lori, yes.
So we will adjourn to closed session and return to adjourn publicly. I entertain a motion to,
We don't.
You
We don't need,
don't
no,
know.
we don't, we just walk.
Just go.
Okay.
can we move the adjournment to the central board office so we don't have to return?
I think we can do that. You just make the announcement.
Yeah. We will officially adjourn the meeting at the central board meeting room if anybody wants to be there.
Okay.